to see you all again.
Oh, nice to be seen.
Isn't it just for week 6, reduce, reuse and recycle week. Oh, the episode that we all love.
Okay, well, I love, all right.
So kick off then, Anya, with a brief thing, because I knew you were looking forward to this episode. Did you enjoy it?
I did, but I wasn't in awe of it, if you know what I mean.
I have to say, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think we've had other series where it has just kind of been, what the hell is going on? The transformation challenge was still that, but I think the first and the last challenges, it was reasonably okay. I didn't get too heavy-handed with the slipper. I think I was only lock and loaded at one point.
Yeah. And the thing that caught me that I thought was interesting is I've actually seen people do the things with the jackets and make them into, not necessarily a waistcoat, but make them into other things. And the same with the jeans. So I have seen that in action. I haven't seen the army thing, but you know, whatever.
I think I just left a bit, I mean, maybe because the episode just felt a bit flat. I don't know whether it was the contestants, whether there was not much to edit in, you know, to create tension, because perhaps the contestants were so busy sewing, there was just nothing there. Damien gave us a few laughs, but then I just think I just got a bit angry at the transformation challenge about the idea of reduce, reuse, recycle week, and then cutting up all these army surplus things. But anyway, we'll get onto that later, I think.
Yeah.
So let's go straight into it then. The pattern challenge, which was to make which as you rightly said, was it was the final challenge.
Yeah, it's deemed so complicated that it was kept for a final in the previous series.
So, but they obviously said they've just got to have the waistcoat, and then the focus was on the 5 buttons, wasn't it? They did keep focusing on that, I felt.
Yeah, because at the end, I suppose that comes down to your detail of making, because there's so much, you have to have it nice and level so that your buttons line up and that the front lines up and all that kind of good jazz.
And to make it out of, they'd changed the whole haberdashery, hadn't they? And they had to make the waistcoats out of pre-worn clothes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think, you know, like we said, it was used in the final before when they could choose proper fabrics and silks and everything like that, and it was hard enough then. So to turn around and say you've got to cut up a jacket and a lining and patch it together potentially, I think it made this harder than what it needed to be.
But I think it was what made it harder for some was that they didn't completely unpick it, that they that they can't, like Dina, she went and used the flap.
Well, I felt for her, because I thought that actually her idea was quite good, because the whole point is it's reduce, reuse, recycle. So the fact that she was going to leave some of those elements in to show where it came from, I actually thought, oh, this is going to turn out all right. But of course it didn't.
Yeah, sadly it came down to, she misunderstood the pattern when she read it. So she read 2 pairs. She was like, why couldn't they just say 4 pieces rather than 2 pairs?
Yeah.
She misinterpreted that.
I would have been the same. Quite, I think, easily done as well when you're in
Absolutely.
pressure.
Yeah.
But looking at her finished shape, I still like that pocket idea. But Patrick said, "Oh, that it's a bulky seam." He was on with that, wasn't he?
Yeah. But then, see, this is where it annoys me with the judges. This year they've got the irk of my slipper more than ever before, because it is reduce, reuse, and recycle week, and you know, they were told to try and make a feature of it, and you know, she tried to do that, and like I said, I thought that she'd just about pulled it off. Okay, it rucked up a little bit at the bottom of that seam where the pocket was, but you know, what more did you want? If you want a perfect waistcoat, Patrick, give them bolts of fabric to work with. Yeah, you know, it was kind of like she was trying to do what the challenge asked. She was trying not to waste material, and this is where I'm getting on my high horse again. So, you know, hold my slipper. We actually had Esme come over and say to Damien, look at all this mess on the floor. What are you doing? Tidy up. This is supposed to be reduce, use, recycle. And I just felt that should have been part of the judging, because the whole idea is to take maybe 1 or 2 jackets and turn it into a stunning waistcoat, not cut up 6 and have bits and pieces. I felt like there was a massacre gone on.
Yeah.
That should have been like, you know what, that should go against you because you're not in the spirit of what reduce, reuse, recycle is. You've literally hacked to death all of these jackets. You can't use it for anything else.
I think Esme had said it at the beginning, did she? And
yeah, but they didn't follow up on it again, and it's just like, you know, you need to be more consistent.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was that maybe it wasn't made explicit, but I wonder was that what sort of kept him slightly lower down in whenever he was judged, whenever he was ranked. You know,
well,
he even said that he wanted
because
slightly higher up, but he wasn't. But I wonder, the thing with Adina, I wonder could it whenever she was cutting it up, we took the mick out of Stuart last week about placement, etc. But I wonder if it could have been better placed rather than right on the seam.
I think
that's what it was.
I think it would have done if she had given herself a bit more time, especially mixing up those back panels. I think the back panel was a panic because she didn't have enough.
Yeah. And fair play to her, she did actually use the same, as you said, she used what she had.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's Adina. What about Fari?
Well, she was more conspicuous by her absence from the editing this week, wasn't she? But let me just point out, dear viewer, once again, we had an unfinished item from Fari. She had not finished her waistcoat off when everyone else had. Might have been finished off shoddily, but everyone else had finished.
Yeah.
It's a contention, isn't it? Because she was nowhere near the bottom.
No.
She was fourth. She was slap bang in the middle. How could she be in the middle if it was unfinished?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Rebecca.
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah. Yes. There's nothing more to say.
I have a slipper if you want. I can wag my slipper angrily.
It's that judging again, isn't it? Rebecca, that lovely tweed with the pink sort of overcheck on it. Nice fabric, wasn't it?
Yeah, I like that fabric. I think they flagged the fact that you could see the underside of it. That's one thing that just stuck in my head with Rebecca's. But I thought it was.
But you're gonna struggle because the tweed is thick.
Yeah.
So it's gonna naturally want to pull because when you've got because they bagged it, the heavier material is going to try and straighten itself out and pull the backing round to the front, which is what it was doing. Yeah. And that's just because that weight of that the weight of that tweed was always going to do that, really.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And slight misalignment, I think, with she didn't check her bottoms before she added the buttons. So
a lot of people went wrong there, didn't they?
Yeah, it was very wrong.
Yeah.
What about Serena Satnav? Funny little moment there, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Once again, we had Damien not reading the pattern properly and needing someone less experienced and younger than him to point out what he was supposed to be doing.
True, but was it quite nice to see a bit of helping? You know,
I must admit we've not really seen it this time. We've seen it in the past.
It was actually, now that you say that, it was definitely more apparent in this episode because also later in the episode we had Andrew trying to help Fari, didn't we?
Yeah.
On that side as well. So you're right, it was more obvious this episode.
It's interesting, isn't it? What makes the edits? How they do have to edit in a way to make it interesting to watch. But if the sewers are busy concentrating, you know, like sometimes the girls are, Serena and Rebecca, we don't often get much from them in the edit. I suppose it's difficult.
Anyway, Serena's she's good at her sewing. She just gets her head down and gets on.
Yeah. And that's why I think I like Damien, and I think that's why he makes the edit a lot because. And perhaps Fari just didn't do much that challenge, so there was not much. That's why she's not in it that much for them. So speaking about Damien, then what about we obviously got a lot of mess as he was doing it, but was the idea that of this patchwork made up of lots of different things, was that not quite clever?
Well, I suppose yes. I mean, there's an argument to say that if you're cleaning out your wardrobe at home. You wouldn't necessarily perhaps go to the charity shop and buy 6 or 7 garments, but if you were doing it from home, then maybe. I did like the colours, the way it all came together. That I thought the colour palette was great, but I did kind of take issue with this whole idea that we're supposed to be being eco-friendly, and we ended up with I think even Patrick described it as a massacre in the charity shop, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's it. Even if you are cleaning out your wardrobe, you're not going to hack up every single item to make one garment. You're going to have ways that you're going to use all those items for different things. So yeah, like I said, the finished product was pretty good. He did have a little bit of puckering on that side and a few wee issues. Everybody had issues with buttons.
I mean, maybe the brief was too broad. Maybe they should have just. I mean, I don't know. Well, it's not like the transformation challenge, but maybe it should have been. You've got 2 jackets.
Yeah.
Or you've got a jacket and a shirt or something like that.
Good point. It would have made them really have
think
to think
a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew's
lovely red. I felt like I was going.
I loved that one. Yeah. Loved that one.
Striking.
Yes. Apologies. My husband has just stuck his head in the door with a cat on his back.
That's all right. Livens up the episode, doesn't it? And well, then let's finish off with Raf's. I mean, that's just skill there, wasn't it?
Yes, that was stunning. Considering we talked about the difficulty of doing it, that was on point. Like I mean,
it was brave to choose a stripe fabric for anyone, but then to actually then produce what he managed to produce. But again, in the edit, he had his head down.
Yeah,
we didn't actually see much of Raf. I was. That's why I think I was so pleased when I saw it, because I felt I hadn't really seen it being produced much. Yeah.
But for him to piece that together and to make it look like a normal fabric, you wouldn't have known that was pieced together at all, would you? That scene.
No, but some people have got that eye, haven't they? They can pull colours together. They can pull fabrics together. They can see patterns where others can't. And he's clearly got that.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've seen that with him consistently. If you think about how his hat was done, where he managed to pivot that pattern to make it lovely. But even Esme and Patrick were just like, where is this theme? And they couldn't see it. And it was like, oh, you can't actually see it because it's done very well.
He's a textile designer as well. He knows fabrics. He's got the skill there and the experience from his job, hasn't he? That's clearly coming through.
And something that's interesting, it was mentioned in the comments last week. Somebody actually mentioned he did actually make those romper suits for Pride a few years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, has he actually got more experience than we have initially thought? And
possibly, but I know I know what you lot are like. If you turn around and said, "Oh, we wanted a bunch of romper suits," and you know how to sew, I'd be sat here trying to sew them, having not really done anything like that before. So was it one of those things where it's because a basic pattern, you zip around the edge, And
regardless of when he has started, he managed to pull off a waistcoat like that from what he had. It's incredible. Very well done.
So the final standings then was Raf first, Serena second, though I think that was quite close because Serena's that half black, half gold was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, I liked it. That was a nice finish.
Andrew third, I think that was good. Fari fourth with an unfinished garment. I mean, tell us if we're wrong, viewers there, if we've missed something with Fari, but I'm sure it was unfinished.
Oh, it was. She hadn't put and it was. Yeah, it was held on with a pin.
Yeah.
It might have only been a little thing, but it was unfinished.
Rebecca 5th, Damien 6th, and Adina 7th. Right, we go into the transformation challenge, where I just kind of, I got a bit grumpy with it. And it's like, oh, you've got all these wonderful military surplus clothes, and we're cutting up to make a new chic garment for women. That was the brief. And they said with little waist. And as we said, I want to see something with impact and drama. And that all went over my head because I was like, you're not seriously going to cut all those up. But was that appropriate for reduce, reuse, recycle?
I don't know. It's a hard one because I don't know, it's just the fact that, you want to make something out of it, but it would have been better to make something that's going to be more wearable, that you're going to actually make use of, rather than something.
Yeah. And again, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have, like 3 pairs of army surplus trousers hanging around at home. I think if you'd have turned around and said you've got 1 pair of army surplus trousers and it's got to be mixed with something else, whether that is other clothes or whether it's haberdashery, bolts of fabric, but I think it would have just made, I think, that would have been a bit more realistic of what you would do with it.
Yeah, but to be honest, so there was, like, when I lived in Brighton, there's an army surplus place, and you could go and get these things.
Yeah, but it would be sacrilege to go and buy like 6 pairs of army trousers to make those monstrosities.
I'm thinking, like, you could get like 2, maybe 3. You get them for under 20 quid, but you know, I don't know.
It wasn't one episode, I'm sure, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Week, either last year or the year before. No, I think it was Janet's year, so 2 years ago. Did they not, which seems to me to be a better challenge, didn't they bring out all the stuff they'd made, or the leftovers they had made from the previous rounds?
Yes.
So that's genius, isn't it? Because you're using the leftovers from previous rounds. So you're reusing, and you're not... You're not.
But could they do that based on everything COVID-wise? Would that have stopped?
I don't know. I think it would have just taken... Yes, good point. Maybe. But then it would have just taken greater planning. I'm just thinking, like, could they have not got loads of patch workers and got all their scrap bits that are left around? Because we all have... And then make a garment.
But they're tiny little bits of fabric that we have left over.
I'm just thinking there must be different ways of promoting reduce, reuse, recycle without going... It just didn't... Anyway, enough of that.
I mean, I know they're frightened of doing the same thing twice, although we've just said, you know, the waistcoat has appeared more than once. But, you know, there was a couple of years ago where they had curtains. It's that sort of thing. It's like when you have curtains left over, and they've done bed sheet. I know they've done bed sheets before as well. But that is the whole point of reuse, isn't it? That is the sort of thing. I buy myself some new curtains. What am I going to do with the old ones? Sling them out or try and do something with it? Yeah. I mean, you know me, I'll beat Scarlett O'Hara going down those stairs in me curtain dress before anyone else. But... You know, it's that idea of, I just don't see, like I said, people having 6 pairs of army trousers and 3 dinner jackets lying around that they're suddenly going to just hack to pieces. Whereas, you know, a pair of curtains or, you know, bed sheets and stuff like that, you know, that's where you can be a little bit more,
I agree.
You know, reusing.
So let's go through them all again. Adina, with her...
Kind of felt bad for Adina. She started off with one thing and then ended up...
Oh my God, it was that awful.
Yeah, with the...
She was going to make a skirt, and then she made the top.
And then, well, then she made a monstrosity. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyone who attempts to sew fringing together is really struggling.
I don't know why. I couldn't understand why that was why. But to be fair, look, we all have bad weeks.
Yeah. I didn't mind that, because I thought that was quite revealing, because you got like this ladder effect, so I didn't mind them being sewn down, but
it's like the hardest thing to try and do.
Yes, because you've got it was like a tabard. You could have it was a waste of time, I suppose. So but I think by that point we already knew that we were like, oh, she's probably one to
but then I think we said last night that this is what was happening last week, where we were like, well, these people should be going home, and then wham bam, Adam's gone, and you know, it with the way things have been going this year, if Adina had come out and done an absolutely perfect thing like Raf, would they have saved her?
Probably, yeah, definitely. Fari and her shoulder pointy Madonna style boob cape thing.
I wasn't a fan. I've seen similar like it in the past, and it's, you know, it can be fabulous. It kind of look. I wasn't a fan.
It was at one point. I think I said to you, "She's going to win this. She's going to win this," because it looks.
Well, the slipper was locked and loaded.
It didn't go anywhere, so I thought, no, she's not going to win it, because it's just a pointy shoulder thing and a cape.
The cape was also, it was literally just the side seams split up the trousers. There was so much bulk round the back there, because she hadn't tried to flatten out and make a flat piece of it. It was just like the arse of the trouser was hanging off each shoulder. I mean, I thought it was awful. I like the shape on the shoulders, but I thought she was going to turn it into some sort of dress, and I just felt a cape was not worthy of when everyone else was producing dresses and tops and everything like that. You know, it was a cape.
It was the one thing that was at least it was something different, you know. So rather than
it comes back to that brief. You're right, different. But Esme said she wanted to see impact and drama.
Yeah. And it definitely was that.
A chic garment. Remember the brief, a chic garment for a woman.
Yeah.
Yes, but like you can get chic versions of it. Like I think if it had been flattened out, as Ting said, and sort of cleaned up. But it comes back to that time limit. It comes back to what you have in hand, and
yeah. What about Rebecca's? She had like 2 colours camo. She had the brown and the normal.
I have to say, I liked I know Patrick wasn't a fan of the brown strap down, and I actually kind of liked it. I was like, well, it actually kind of.
I could understand what she was trying to do, because she was saying that's like the bullet thing.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite, I thought it was all right. So, yeah, but then I'm falling out of love with these judges more and more each week.
Well, I've got a big bee in my bonnet about the judges here.
Is it a sewing bee?
Yeah. What did I say?
No, you said a big bee in your bonnet.
A big sewing bee in my bonnet with the judges, because Rebecca came 6th, which is 1 from bottom. Yeah. And I think I slung my flipper at the television because Esme said, and I've written it down because I was so furious. I think it was the teacher in me. Right, this is what Esme said. It was great, when they say, Adina's come 7th, Rebecca's come 6th. Oh, it was great, Rebecca. And it was just that they were all great. It was really difficult to choose. That's why she was 6th.
Yeah. And that's the sort of thing you do say as a teacher.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing.
Your essay was really good. It just happens to come bottom. Yeah,
it's like the sports days where everybody gets a medal just for participating. It's like, well done, everybody.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough to say, oh, it was really difficult to pick between. Because it wasn't difficult to pick between. Some of those were shocking.
Yeah. But this is the bit.
I thought Rebecca's wasn't half bad myself.
This is the bit that I'm annoyed with. Did Esme say that because when it was revealed it was Rebecca, she didn't want to hurt Rebecca's feelings because Rebecca is, a younger lady rather than a more senior? Was it her age? Did she feel that she couldn't give her proper criticism because of the age?
Well, you shouldn't be on the show if you can't take criticism.
I know.
We won't know because it's going to be in Esme's head.
But if you're a judge, have you and this is where we've often said about the judges, their criticism is that it's not sometimes focused enough. So therefore, it can then just end up being almost favoritism.
Well, clearly what they need to do is to log on to our podcast 3 days later.
But when you're a judge and you're looking at it, haven't they already got it written down? Oh, that was perhaps, that could be improved. This was a good point. What do we have as teachers? I forgot what it is. I've been out for so long.
It's a mark scheme.
When you give feedback, you normally give a not so good one, and then a nice one, and then a one to improve.
Well, we can't repeat that on the television.
Yeah, a particular type of sandwich.
You're thinking of a sandwich.
Yes. Yeah. Good, bad, good. You normally have, So
but there was nothing there for Rebecca, and I also felt if I was Rebecca, actually, I want some proper criticism, please.
Yeah, you want feedback. What you can do better to improve.
Yeah. Or what was good, just so I know. But anyway.
Just not, it was difficult to choose. There has to be a reason why you've put that where it is. I'm sorry.
So that was my gripe with the judges. Were you going to say something else with the judges at this point, Ting?
No.
All right, because I thought I interrupted you. That's all. When I got my sewing bee in the bonnet.
Sewing bee in your bonnet.
Serena.
That should be next week. Bonnets.
Yes. Serena B with her halter neck dress. I love that.
I agree. Yeah, that was quite fun.
And again, this goes back to the cape. The fitting of that halter neck and the way that it fitted the mannequin. I mean, I know it's still only 90 minutes and the seams are not perfect, but how much work went into that as opposed to putting a couple of cones on a pair of trousers?
But as Esme said, it was a little bit too obvious.
What? To make a dress in a dressmaking show?
Yeah, but
yeah,
I don't know.
That's why I came out thinking it was just a meh episode. Damien with his asymmetric hem that
wasn't asymmetric. It just wasn't finished properly.
And the fun sleeve.
I liked what he was trying to do with the sleeve. I could see where he was going with that.
Raf with the off-the-shoulder number.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm going through
I'm
these
just
quickly
actually
because
trying to look at the pictures at the minute to be like, to remember.
but it says it all on you. I mean, we're recording this less than 24 hours, and we're still going. We're still going.
To be fair, I've been teaching all day, you know.
And I've had a very busy day. I'm just looking at Raf's. Raf's was quite nice. It was the one with the orange seam.
Oh, yes, but he won, didn't he? He did the perfect thing. He did something to make that stand out by putting that orange binding on.
Yeah.
That made that.
And
it didn't really matter how, I mean, it wasn't badly sewn together, but it didn't really matter what else he'd done because he placed that in such a way that it drew your eye all the way round and just finished it off.
It gave impact and drama.
Exactly.
He did.
And I'm just
you coming down the staircase with that.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just looking at Serena's. Serena's wasn't a bad sew. Just looking at her, she used the camo swishy bit at the bottom as well.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm
too
just
obvious.
I mean,
too obvious.
Too wouldn't be seen dead in it, but yeah, okay, I'll let her have it.
But it added, you're talking about drama, you know, you're talking about a mini skirt halfway up your bum and a lovely bit of.
I'd have gone more for a bustle around the back to add the drama because it just kind of hung there, didn't it? It just was straight line all the way down. Where I perhaps would have bustled it around the back and.
But if you're talking
a bit Edwardian,
purely going for the long sleeve.
A bit Darcy.
Yeah. So,
Darcy.
I'm surely that's Georgian, isn't it?
Oh, I was thinking Darcy bustle with a bustle.
Well, you don't want Darcy hanging around the back of you.
Mr. Darcy then.
Oh, and let's finish off with Andrew. His brown camo and frills.
Yeah.
oh, we love reduce, reuse, recycle.
I do. I just think this.
But, I mean, as I said, I was pleasantly surprised with the other two challenges, but I still, and I don't care whether it's reduce, reuse, recycle week or any other week. The transformation challenge just seems to have lost its way and become too chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hit and miss for me. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
So we the standing orders there. The final order is Fari came first. The slipper was thrown.
Yeah, I don't think she should have come first in that challenge either.
No. I think there were more chic and more with.
I believe the threat from me was that I was never watching.
Yeah.
I said, if she wins the overall programme, I'm walking away from this. You'd have just had a little blank square here tonight.
Raf second, Serena third, Andrew fourth, Damien fifth, Rebecca sixth, Adina seventh. So we go into the transformation challenge with Adina bottom twice and Damien in the bottom as well. So it's like,
yeah.
But as you rightly said, Adina could pull out a phenomenal made to measure, and everything is forgotten in the first two rounds, and she could have been saved, couldn't she? So made to measure was this idea of making a garment out of old was it old jeans?
Yes.
Or denim?
Oh well, denim.
But it was jeans, because the whole point was that they obviously only the widest part of the fabric was the leg.
Oh yes.
So they didn't have yards and yards to make. They had to patchwork stuff in some way, shape, or form.
Yes, exactly.
I was kind of ready for lots of stories for this because I thought, right, they're going to hone in on the whole idea of reduce, reuse, recycle, and that might become, I don't know, an element in the judging. And that did came out in the end, didn't it? But there you go, let's go through them all.
Not with everyone. Raf had talked about how he wanted to do the C because of the amount of water it takes for denim and everything like that. And I kind of went with him on that one, but I didn't feel we had that many stories in the same way.
No, I can only remember Adina and Damien.
Well, I thought that was enough for me. So let's go in. Well, let's go in with Adina's story then. First, the jeans and the hand painted motif, the paisley motif.
Yeah. I
wondered where you were going with that.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, it was just wasn't it? A lovely idea of that hand painted, but
yeah, very much. So I thought it was nice, and the fact that they like to add that bit of color and that stuff. And I quite liked how she used it. I liked the shapes that she used. So that was a point of interest with her.
I can't remember why hers was so bad, because I liked the reds painted.
It wasn't the best fitting at the back. It was a bit tight.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
and that made the back look short, even though it wasn't. But to be fair, now one thing to say with Adina, hers was made up as she went along. She had a general idea of what she had, but she didn't have pattern or anything. She was like, I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to have a bit of fun with it. And I thought from that, she did pretty damn awesome.
It's very brave, though, to do that in made to measure, is it not?
Yeah.
At the same time, they didn't have 4 meters of material to play with. They turned up clearly with their jeans still intact. So, I suppose in her head she was thinking, I don't know how much fabric I'm going to get out of that pair, and that pair. So I'm just going to go with it and see what happens.
Yeah. And for considering she did do that, like her dress, it was actually, like the wee mini dress, and it was pretty goddamn awesome.
Yes, because I presume there's not, maybe with this challenge, because of the nature of it, was there any opportunity to practice?
Well, they did say they'd practiced again, didn't they?
Yes,
and
Raph looked,
even
Raph
Damien
what he was doing.
And Damien said that he'd made this at home. He'd practiced it at home.
So
I mean, some of them had their head downs and they knew what they were doing. They were just beavering away, weren't they? Fari and her black and white one, please, excuse my ignorance here. I presume that was denim. It was denim, was it?
Just black and white jeans, yeah.
Yeah. There are different types of jeans.
I know.
And you can get loads of different colours.
Just assume blue. I don't know why.
Sorry. We do like to take the myth out of Stuart. I'm very sorry.
Of course. Fine. That's what it's all about. Nice idea, though, with that zip.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, yeah, but I was so damn worried.
Yeah.
But no, but hers. It was a nice form-fitting dress, and I think she did really well with what she had. I thought that was really good, and it was unique in that it wasn't another blue thing. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of blue throughout, so that was, it was different. It made it stand out.
One I want to talk about in detail, because of the three of us and our background in patchwork. Rebecca, was she overlooked with the skills used? Because Patrick seemed to think that was really difficult, but for us patchworkers, that's quite easy. But was that overlooked? Go on.
I mean, I think it possibly could have been, and all credit to her. Those corners and everything had come together nicely.
Herringbone down the front like that, yeah. But
and I mean, obviously, she told the story about how it's inspired by her mum and her nan who do the patchwork, and they make the bags and everything like that. But it looked like a bag.
It was old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't
old school patchwork.
It
was just old-fashioned as well.
Even the straps basically looked like. But you know what?
But that was the thing.
Was it the colour?
It just looked like a bag, because it was a square top with a couple of straps put over the top, and then it went down in a nice square all the way to the bottom. And I was just like, it looks like a bag, love. By all means, use the herringbone and build it in, maybe a nice bit down the side or something like that. But it looks like a bag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because even quite literally, like you looked like you could have picked the person up.
Just picked her up and gone shopping.
But now, to be fair, there's, as you said, there was skill involved in making that herringbone and having that point.
Yes, but from our point of view as a patchworker, that is quite an easy skill. That's one that we learn straight away.
No, to be fair to her, it is an easy skill, but she had everything meticulously matched up.
Yeah.
We know what it's like. The first thing we all look at when we've all done our patchwork is whether our corners are all meeting.
Corners and points.
And if you're ready to start
depending
again,
on how quickly I've thrown it together, it could be 70-30% that are in the right place. Yeah. But she did take her time, and it was meticulously done. I just then felt sorry for her because it just looked like a big bag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Serena's outfit, I looked like a tennis outfit to me. I loved it.
I loved it as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Funky.
really quite kind of modern and a bit summery and a bit something you'll throw on and run to do the things. And yeah, it looked really nice. I liked it.
Was she the one that did it half and half as well?
Yeah, so she had
white, blue, yeah.
Yeah, and a darker colour as well, I believe.
I
She
love
had, like,
her.
white on one half, didn't she, and blue on
Yeah.
the other, and then the skirt flared out a bit.
And
Yeah.
she just reminded me of a really good student at school, you know, the one that would have lovely little sketchbooks with all the lovely coloured drawings in when I saw
know,
her
but
sketchbook.
don't you hate them as much as you hate the naughty ones? I like the ones with a bit of edge in the middle.
Oh, hello, Damson. Right, what about Damien then? And I loved his story, and I actually really loved his dress. I thought it was very wearable. I could see you walking down the street in that on you.
Oh, thank
Melford.
you. No, I quite liked his dress as well. It does look like something I would wear. It's a shame that the finish wasn't, you know, his zip, and it was baggy at the top, but I love the contrasting thread as well. It's just a shame it didn't meet all the time. But that's like
it is the thing, isn't it? It is the made to measure challenge. You know, we were moaning, or I was moaning about the fact that, you know, when you're making those jackets and they're not that fitted, and it's easy to get away with it. But this is the made to measure challenge, and when it's got to fit, it's got to fit. And, you know, to be fair, they've got the bloody models right in front of them.
Yeah.
You know, they should be trying it on and holding it up and making sure. I know there's a time limit, but, you know, that should have been factored in.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we had this discussion last year. They've got the same model again, haven't they? Some of them have used the same model for 3 weeks on a trot.
Do they?
I don't know, because
I'm too busy looking at the clothes. I never see the face.
I thought the older black lady with the grey sort of dress, she seems to have swapped around a bit. I wouldn't say she's been with the same person every time.
She hasn't, because her previous contestant has obviously been removed. But they brought some models back to a different. So
what happened to the other one? Well, surely they should be out then. So some poor second-rate model who was working there has been told, go on, off your jog. We're bringing this one back in because her person went home.
About the models, all right.
I think it's
suddenly become about the models.
It's about what you call it, diversity.
There's some poor model out in the corridor weeping her heart out because she's been dumped, just so they can bring back models because their one's been sent home.
Well, you know, life is hard.
And now, anyway, talking about models, Andrew had the lovely model that I love anyway. His dress was stunning. I loved it. Did you not love it?
Andrew, what did he do?
Herringbone.
Oh, yes, yes.
Finished with the rivets.
Yes.
And that was the black lady with the dreads.
Yeah. I liked his dress as well. And that was very well done.
But it didn't fit again, did it, around the top?
No. Yeah, it didn't fit at the back. And I love the fact that he had the different types of straps, and that was interesting. But it's when she turned around and Esme pointed out, she was like, it's a bit baggy.
Well, and like Patrick said, because he'd got all of those stripes, he had so many seams that he could have pulled that in so it fitted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've only got Raf's to talk about, but were there not more skills I know they're not judged on how many skills they've used, but were there not more skills with Andrew's compared to Raf's?
No,
because there was a lot going on in Raf's dress.
Well, let's go on to Raf's, because he's the one that was the one that was all talked about, the rumour that was going around about the best article made. We saw a sneak peek at the beginning, and it was like, oh, that looks nice. It was wonderful, wasn't it?
It was
from a design point of view. I loved the idea of that, you know, ripping and then having those frayed edges and the sewing down.
Well, you see, that was clever, because that's the difference between Andrew's and Raf's, because Raf didn't have to have neat seams. So he could take the time to have, I mean, how many did he say? 16, 18 pieces on the front and the back. He could do that because he was overlaying them. He wasn't joining them and like Andrew was with his.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier, even though there was lots of pieces. As soon as he got it in the shape that he wanted, he sewed them all together because he didn't have to worry about having a neat seam. And he made it big enough so that he could then cut it and bring it in. And so I'm not criticising, because I loved it and I love Raf and I love what he's doing. But he did exactly what you should do in that challenge, is he made it so that he could then make it to fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you say, it was stunning. And he had, you know, the more it wasn't neat seams, he still had to make sure everything was placed right and that it looked, you couldn't have anything too wonky or it would kind of throw the whole look off, I think.
Well, you could get away with it because it was the sea and the waves, wasn't it?
No, I think
The spectacular thing was he made it meet down the side. So where it came down to the side, it then came down on the other side and it met there. So the side scene was matched perfectly as well.
Yeah, there's lots of little things where it worked perfectly well. Like it did really well. And his whale as well and things like that.
Yeah, I completely missed the whale. I didn't know what it was at first. I think I would have liked it without the whale myself, but
yeah, to be honest, it was nice both ways, but it was nice to have something.
But, I mean, he even cut up the pockets to match the. Instead of just putting a patch pocket on the front, he'd cut up the 3 pockets so that the 3 different denims matched the waves on the dress. I mean, come on, people! If you wanted a show on how to do it, that was the one.
Absolutely.
Yes, but we've had this discussion before about pockets, and Esme says she likes a contrast pocket. Could he have just put, had he a contrast pocket on there, would it have still been as amazing?
She likes the contrast pocket, but then what was it, Damien, who put the 2 pockets on the front? She went, I think you've gone too far with them. And you just think, well, hang on a minute, Farry can put a big old bow on the back during Frida Kahlo week and that wins her over, but you put 2 contrasting patch pockets on the front and you're told it don't work.
Yeah, I wonder if Esme maybe has a bee in her bonnet about Damien because the fact that she does pull him up regularly about the fact that he doesn't necessarily always read the pattern. And I wonder, has he taken that 1 week too far?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I hated his patch pockets. They were the wrong colour.
Oh, I love those patch pockets. I loved them.
I did too. I thought it all worked.
They were the wrong colour. They needed to be a different colour, I think.
Oh, a completely different colour maybe rather than...
Understand your point, though, Anya. Maybe she actually really rates Damien and his skills and wants him to do better, so therefore she's nagging at him, or it's coming across. We must always say that. We don't know what their intentions are, but it comes across like that in the edit, doesn't it? Yeah. So at the end of that, it was quite clear that Raf was going to get Garment of the Week, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and very
well, it was, but then equally the slipper was to hand because there was always that after the last few weeks there's that seed of doubt because I don't feel that we've got the true weight of the judges this year. You know, in previous years I feel that we and the judges have been fairly in line, but this year it does seem a bit off. Maybe it's COVID.
Could well be.
Maybe.
Yeah. They may not have been going round as much, talking as much, maybe. I don't know.
Well, this is it. This is the problem. We can't. Yeah. And also, yes, I agree. And I'm incapable of making a point to demonstrate.
And I think that's why we've come out going, it was a episode, wasn't it, in those respects. And Adina went home.
I was really looking forward to it, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be.
Well, and you know, like I said, I think sometimes we come with our preconceived ideas. You know, I don't like Children's Week. You know, I don't like Reduce, Reuse. They were back-to-back episodes. It's been a tough couple of weeks. They need to come back next week with something good, or, you know, my opinion on the whole series is going to be starting to get tainted, really.
Yeah. Well, we've got... And it should be noted, this isn't commenting on the sewers. The sewers are
not at all.
Awesomely. They're doing fantastic jobs, but...
It's funny, isn't it? Because when we look back on our commentary so far, have been talking more about the judges and the production side of it more than the sewers, actually, haven't we?
And I think that's a shame. But I think the other thing which we've mentioned in previous, or I've certainly mentioned, I keep saying me because I know people like me being a grumpy old git, and I don't try to deflect it off you two. But there's still, I mean, Raf gave us a glimpse of it this week, but in previous shows, we've had that 1 or 2 sewers who are just spectacular every week. And I don't care if that means they make it to the final, because that's great. I would love to see a high design, the high fashion, the high thing. I mean, they've all got good sewing skills, so let's just push ourselves. Let's push ourselves a little bit further and make something stunning. And we didn't really see that until Raf this week. I mean, he's made good stuff. If anyone, Raf has done it in the past, you know, even in that first week with that orange fabric that he dyed himself, that was a brilliant dress. But we haven't got other people to kind of hold that baton between them where you go, oh, is it Raf? Is it the other one this week? You know, I mean, at the moment, it could be a one-horse race. I mean, Raf could have a bad week next week. I don't know. But you just know. Well, no, I hope he doesn't. But you could do with 2 or 3 just really good. And I don't care if they then just head straight to the final. But I feel that's what I'm missing. I'm just watching. I'm watching good sewers produce good garments, but I want to see some exceptional sewers produce some exceptional garments.
I don't think we're
flair that they just burn really brightly, and it's like.
Are we going to get that though because of the time constraints? It's the balance.
Well, we've seen it in the past. We've seen people produce good stuff.
We had Janet and Jen that year, 2 years ago. Each week they were producing. It was switching, wasn't it? Brilliant garment.
It's like you don't always necessarily particularly like them.
Ricardo.
But
Ricardo, that's who it was, who made the waistcoat. I spent the last 24 hours trying to remember that.
But like we've had contestants that have a very unique, I think it's the uniqueness. I think it's the unique flair, not necessarily that they're massively flamboyant.
Yeah.
It's the unique flair. They all seem to be very uniform.
Yeah.
So like Damien definitely has, I think he would have something unique about him if he could channel it really well. And Raf as well.
And I know we can't bring people back, and I know he had just had a bad week last week, but Adam, you know, he had some really good transformation challenges and was starting to win me over on the transformation challenge for the way he did it. But, you know, okay, he had a bad week and he's gone, and there's nothing that we can do about that. They're not going to be a surprise bringing back next week. But, okay, he had a bad week. There wasn't anyone else really who had as bad as him. But, you know, he was one who had the potential, and we've lost him.
Yeah. And it's a shame, but, you know, and I think like Adina, we've mentioned she went out this week. I think she also could have had, you know, towards the end, if she'd kept there and she'd kept her confidence, I think she could have done something
moments
as well. Like she definitely had moments.
I don't know, because it kind of saddened me a little bit because she kind of resigned herself to being the person in the bottom this week. After she didn't do very well in the first challenge, it was almost as if she just went, nah, that'll be me this week. And I'm not saying she gave up. She didn't. She did, you know, she did the best she could. But as it got, you know, later on in the challenge, it was almost as if she looked around the room and went, yeah, it's going to be me. So I'm just going to do what I can in the time. And I'm perfectly happy with accepting that I'm going home. And I get that. I can totally understand that because you just feel defeated. But I want someone to fight. I don't want you to look around the room and go, oh, hang on a minute. Am I the bottom of the pile? I want you to go, I'm not the bottom of the pile. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, next week we've got Winter Week, which we love.
Well, we need it because the weather is just winter outside.
And then the week after, we've got Musicals Week and Movies Week, with dresses inspired by Dirty Dancing and Dreamgirls. Inspired by Dirty Dancing.
Oh, inspired. Inspired, is it?
Yes, I'm afraid it's going to be one of those episodes.
Expect a grumpy Ting. Well, you know, we don't expect anything else.
Well, what can you do out of Dirty Dancing? A little pink dress, because that's what she wore for most of it.
Okay, Dreamgirls might be a bit better. There's more.
Well, at least that's a musical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dirty Dancing is just a music.
But we run the risk of it being. We run the risk of it being an inspired by thing again. And, you know, as long as you come on and go, well, I was inspired by the music of Dirty Dancing, so I've done a slit from here to here, then it'll be fine, won't it? You know. I
really want somebody to do that just so I can see it. But so everybody, you know, if you know, light your candles and cross all the things and hope for the best that we have a Ting in
I just make a big pink dress with 2 huge watermelons on the front.
As always, we love your comments.
Put a big bow on the back and go, here you go, Esme, what do you think of those melons?
Get involved, write down what you think about that dress. Maybe we need to get a Ting to make it. Give us your feedback on what you thought, certainly on Raf's final dress, maybe the judging, as we were talking about with the comments back from Rebecca. We love reading them, don't we, Anya?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
love
I'm
reading
glad
them, yeah.
every now and then I get somebody goes, I do agree with you, Anya. I'm like, oh, thank you, okay, I feel validated.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
too few and far between. My posse are with me all the way.
And it's great. I love seeing those comments when you all reply. And it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's what it's all about. It's enjoying the program that we love. I know we go into detail and we probably over talk it, but look at that's what they do on football each week. They have the pundits talking for hours, don't they?
Yeah,
They are, wouldn't
good
they?
enough. All right.
And in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll see you next week for Winter Week. Bye.
Bye.